looking at the housing market and thought, I should wait. I don't want to buy right now. I think the rate's too high. It'll go down. I'm going to wait until next year, maybe the year after. Give us a few minutes and we'll tell you why that's a bad idea.
Okay, so let's jump into this. And what we're going to show you today is the cost of waiting. And I've used a couple of hypotheticals. I'm using round numbers here. I used a home price of $300,000 to start with for a couple of reasons. It's a nice round number, and that's about what the median home price in central Indiana was last year. I used the average interest rate of about 7% from last year. You think that's be about right? And I used a very simple, conventional 3% down mortgage product, which is about the lowest down payment you can have unless you go USDA or VA and get 100% financing. And for the purposes of discussion, we're going to use 23, 24, and 25 numbers. So we look at this first cost of waiting slide here. You'll see just that. On the left, I have 2023, and on the right, I have 2024 hypotheticals. And again, these are all hypothetical numbers. But $300,000 was pretty close to the median home price for 2023. And that would mean that you would have to put a down payment of about $9,000 if you were at a 3% down payment. And your payment for that home would be about $1,949 a month, and that's just your principal and interest. A lot of payments have also your homeowner's insurance and taxes taken out.
Correct. So we're not counting that.
No, this is just P&I, principal and interest. And as you can see here, if you waited a year, and let's say the rates stayed about the same, I used a 6.8% rate because that's kind of where they were hovering for a while. That same house, if you'd waited until this year to buy it, would have cost you $312,000. And this is just assuming a very modest appreciation rate of about 4.3%, which is where, if you watched our market update from last month, that's about what the appreciation rate was for the first quarter, about 4.3%. So that house would now cost you $312,000. Your down payment would now be $9,360. And your payment would be $1,973, so your payment actually went up slightly, even though your interest rate went down slightly.
Right.
So yeah, you got a lower interest rate for sure, but it cost you $360 more in your down payment, $24 more per month in your payment, which is about $300 a year, $288 a year. But the big thing is, you lost $12,000 in equity. What that means is your home, had you bought it last year, would be worth $12,000 more now, which is actual equity that you can tap into to do other things down the road. Right?
Correct. And your rate went down. We let the rate go down a little bit. So yes, you capitalized on the rate going down a little bit, but you actually got tackled from behind as far as the appreciation of the home and the cost of the payment monthly.
Right. And the total cost for you, if you'd have waited from last year to this year, would have been about $12,648 in this hypothetical. So that is the true cost of waiting if you're waiting for the interest rates to go down. And I also took the liberty of going another year in this next slide and saying, well, what if you thought about buying in 2023, but the rates were too high, so you wanted to wait for them to come down? And let's say that doesn't happen until next year, 2025, and they finally get down to 6%. Now, I didn't do anything with the appreciation rate. I still let it ride at about 4.3%. That 2-year wait would have now put the cost of that home at $324,480. Your down payment would have been $9,735, and your payment went up again, $1,887. Actually, it did come down a little bit. My fault. Yeah, it came down a little bit. $1,887. And this is assuming that the rates go down to 6%, which we're not sure that's going to happen.
Correct.
6% I think is pretty aggressive.
That'd be great. I'd be super pleased if next year we were looking at 6%.
Yeah, if we could get to 6% next year, that would be awesome.
Right.
The floodgates would be open, and that house was going to cost more than $324. So again, you got a lower interest rate, but your down payment went up $735 more than it would have in 2024. Yeah, your payment's about $62 less, which is about $744 a year. But you left $24,480 in equity on the table.
So you lost another $12,000 in equity.
You lost another $12,000 in equity. If you think about that, you're creeping up to 10%. Yeah. And that's there's a lot of things that a lot of people could do with $24,000. Yeah. So what we wanted to stress here is that the interest rates, while they are important, they are temporary. Had you bought that $300,000 house at 7%, and let's say they did go down to 6% in 2025, you can refinance down into that 6%. and you still only paid $300,000 for the house, and it would still be worth hypothetically $325,000.
Right.
That's the real cost of waiting to buy a home. And we can both speak to the real estate appreciation rates.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean,
we're being conservative on all of this.
Yeah.
And aggressive on the rate. If that rate was actually, say, 6.5%, your payment's really going to be the same. Yeah. It'll still be around $1,950 instead of that $1,887. So it's going to stick around right around that same point, and you're not going to save anything, even with a better rate at that point.
Well, you're actually losing a ton in equity.
Yeah.
And I'm running into this a lot now, where friends, I get buyers and their friends bought homes in 2021, and they were able to afford a $350,000 house because they were getting a 2.9% interest rate. And now they're looking at this 7% rate saying, wow, I can only afford $250,000. That's okay. Get into it. There's still plenty of homes, nice homes out there in the 250 range, 300 range. Get into it now and don't leave all that equity on the table, because that $350,000 house that their friend bought in 2021 is now worth $400,000.
Yeah. let that equity build in your favor at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Keep in mind, these rates are estimates and hypotheticals. If you would like to learn more about your personal rate, what you would qualify for, please reach out to me. We can talk specifically about what you would be able to get as an interest rate.
All right. Thanks, guys.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope you found this helpful. And you can reach out to me if you're thinking about buying, and I can walk you through this in real time. Give Bart a call if you need a mortgage. We'll be here for you.
When you're ready to start with Bart.